Alright, so I quickly want us to be able to create the functionality or the routes that basically helps us create new messages, right? So let's not waste too much time, let's just get to it. So the first thing we want to quickly do is I want us to go into the API folder here. So API, you can see, then we'll enter the messages. So for that we are going to create the messages folder. So I'll just say messages like this, nice and clean, and I'll just enter by saying what routes.ts, nice and clean. Now inside this routes.ts we want to say what export async. I want to say export async function. So export async function, and we are going to say what post, and then over here we are going to say request. So we're going to make the first parameter a request, and we set the type to be what, capital R, then request, right over here, nice and clean. Now inside here what we want to quickly do is we want to create our try catch block, nice and clean like this. Oh, I wanted to use the snippet real quick. Okay, nice. So yes, so inside here what you're going to do is you're going to first of all set the error to be any over here, nice and clean. Then inside we'll say what, log out the error in case there's any. So you can just say something like message error, then we'll make that capital. So message error like this, then we pass in the error like this. Alright, then right after that we're just going to return a new next response like this, and we are just going to pass in what, internal server error, and then we say what, status 500, nice one. Okay, so right after doing this, first of all we want to come and get our current user. So we say const current user. We're going to do that by awaiting get current user, and then we initialize that, nice and clean. Alright, so right after doing this we want to now be able to collect a few details through the body like we set up in our form. So in order for us to be able to do that, we have to create a body, and that body we are going to pass it inside a JSON object. So we just say what, so request.json like this, then we would parse it like this, nice and clean. Then now we are come to receive the input object, so we are just going to say this curly braces, then we equate it to what, the body. That means you are getting them from the body. We are going to get a bunch of object values from the body. Right now, what are the object values that we are getting? So we are saying that what, message, then what, image, and what, conversation ID. Now in order for us to get rid of this error, we just need to what, await. So we need to await the request.json here, and then we should be clean and good to go. So the first thing we want to do is we want to check, right? So let's quickly check for whether we don't have our current user, right? So I'll just say what, if we check and then we realize that, so let me just open this now, say what, if we check and we realize that there is no current user, so there's no current user dot what, ID, or there is no current user dot email over here, right? What do we want to do? We want to return what, new next response unauthorized, nice and clean. Then over here we see what, status 401, nice and clean like this. All right, so right after doing this, you're going to say what const new message is equal to what await prisma, and then you can see that over here when you try to do something with your prisma, it will work like this, right? But in your development server, you might be able to work things out, and you'll be able to do a lot of stuff. But when you actually push into production, you're going to be facing a whole lot of issues. So you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you are always importing your prisma. So we're going to quickly import prisma like this from @/app/libs/ what prisma db like this. Okay, then inside here what we're going to do is you're just going to come here and then see what messages, so message like this, then we say create, then inside this we want to quickly create our message using the data, and then this data object is going to be like this. We're going to be passing in the body like this, and then the body is going to be a message. Okay, then after passing in the body, you want to pass in the image as well in case there is any. So just passing image like this, right? Then we are going to come here and then take the conversation object inside here, right? Then we are going to pass it, we are going to connect. So you're going to connect. So we are going to connect. Yeah, it has to be able to connect. So inside this connect, we are going to pass in what the ID, and then this ID is going to be what's conversation ID, nice and clean. Okay, now right after we've been able to set this up, the next thing that we want to be able to do is let me quickly put this comments here, and what we're going to do is we're going to come here and then you see what sender. Okay, so we take the sender, and then inside this is how we're going to be passing in the data. So we are going to connect, then inside we will see what ID. So the sender ID, we always want to make sure that it is the current user that is sending. So we say current user dot what ID, you get it? So the current user is the one trying to send, and under here you want to pass in what the scene, and then for the scene we want to make sure that we connect as usual, and then we say who is the user that is going to see, right? By default when we send a message, it is us that have seen the message, right? It's the current user, so you want to pass that one to inside by default like this, and we are good to go. So right after setting this one up, the last thing that you want to quickly set up is your include, right? So down here you want to quickly come and then just include. You want to quickly come and include. Okay, so it looks like there's something wrong somewhere. Let's quickly look at it, because include was supposed to show up, right? So if you're not seeing it like this, it means there's something wrong somewhere. So inside we have this conversation here, right? And then we are already connecting this. Okay, looks like there's one more curly braces missing somewhere. Okay, yes, so we just missed one more curly brace. So right after doing this, you're just going to say what include. Then inside this include, we say that we want to set scene to be true, and then this scene to be true is just returning the user details, that's the user details of all those scene IDs inside there, right? Then sender to will be sent to true. Okay, so right after doing this, what you quickly want to do is we want to come and then return. Want to come and return what? Want to come and return our next response. Yeah. So next response.json, and we'll see what new message. All right. So right after responding this, I want us to quickly set something up, right? So we want to be able to make sure that we can update our conversation or our chat when we need to, right? Because like it's an exchange of information, right? So it's going to have to keep um updating itself constantly, right? So in order for us to be able to create that, we are going to say what const what updated conversation, and we are mainly setting this up because of pusher, right? So we want to make sure that once we set up pusher, we should be able to use this thing that we are about to set up over here to make our workflow easier, right? So we are saying that, so for this we want to await what we want to await prisma. So we want to await prisma dot what conversation, right? Prisma dot conversation, then we want to update the conversation like this, right? Then we can do it like this. So inside this update conversation, where we first of all look for where we are trying to update, and then we are going to take the ID, and we are going to look for the ID. But which ID? We're going to be looking for the conversation ID like this, right? Then right after doing this, we want to come down here, then we pass in the new data that we are trying to update it with, right? So this data is going to include last message at, then this last message at, we are going to create a new date object for it, just like this, nice and clean. Then we want to come inside this message, and this message is here like this. Then inside we want to quickly create this object like this, then you say connect. So we want to connect like this, and inside we pass in what the new messages ID. So new message dot what ID like this, nice and clean. Alright, so right after we've been able to set this up, what we want to quickly do is inside here we want to pass in include like this. So include like this, then inside we want to set the users to be what's true so that we can return their details and use. Alright, then we want to come down here and then see what messages here like this. Then we say we want to include, right, we want to include what we want to include, yeah, I forgot to bring this thing. Yeah, so what do we want to include? We want to include the scene details of the scene user details, right? So set that to what's true. Yeah, like this. All right, so that is nice and clean. So once we are able to implement our pusher, we should be able to take this and help us integrate the process a whole lot more easier. All right, so we can quickly come here and then test our create messages functionality. As you can see over here, there is nothing inside our messages collection here, but when we come into the project here and then we come and see hello there, and I hit enter or I click on this button, it should be able to create the message here. So as you can see, when we come and refresh, you should be able to see this one created nice and clean over here. Alright, so that's basically it. We now have our route functionality that enables us to create new messages. So we are going to be creating new UIs and everything, but like I said, we are taking this step by step. So in the next episode, in the next part of the video, we are going to basically be integrating Cloudinary so we can basically add images and then do other fun stuff. So hopefully I'll see you in the next video.